Hello, today we're talking about Neon White. Neon White is a first-person time trial speedrunning game. Its movement is less parkour and more movement arena shooter. The controls are simple: no crouch, wall run, ledge grab, sprint, aim down, sights, etc. It's just moving and shooting. The games it reminds me most is Dust Force and Track Shoot Mania in some capacity. If you fight mostly stationary enemies in a path that you must clear out before finishing the level, and your goal is to set better times with a friend global leaderboard to measure against. The main gimmick of Neon White, however, is that alongside its relatively simple movement are ability cards that function as weapons and discard abilities, tossing the weapon for a powerful movement options such as an extra jump, dash, bomb, and you can use to clear multiple enemies and or jump using the blast, etc. I'll get more into it below, and that's the gist of how the game works. I just want to give one caveat, as I've talked with a friend who didn't like the game as much as I did due to having different expectations, and I think it's fair to point out front. This game is much more focused on its movement and time trial aspect than it is a true first-person shooter. While it uses a specific style of movement system as a base, and while shooting is part of the game, it is not the focus of the game. You do not fight complex enemies or end up in any bullet hell situations. It's very much a refined take of FPS movement, where the focus of movement shooter is skewed far more in favor of movement. You still have to have some skill with aiming, but only at stationary targets along a path. I think if you go into this game expecting a true FPS game and less of the time trial race type game, you'll be a bit disappointed. Alright, so I'll just sum up all of the details I like about this game. First and foremost, it feels squarely in the easy to learn, hard to master type of the trial gameplay. I like its mechanics are incredibly simple. Its movement is not bogged down by secondary options, and you have a base speed that gets modified by only a single terrain type that makes you run and card abilities. Enemies have very clear and distinct designs, always drop the same type of card, and cards are color-coded and tutorized in such a way that their function both as a weapon and ability are intuitive. You can typically determine what you are meant to do next simply based on the enemy scoping up and the cards you acquire. Even when mistakes occur, very often the immediate reaction is "I know what to do there next time." The demon enemies and cards are easy to identify from a distance and contrast the scenery nicely. The depth provided to you with the way card pickups work is nice. There are a lot of interesting and clever ways of optimizing your route in levels. A bronze medal is awarded 4 times or of a slow-paced cold read. Silvers are sloppy but accurate. Golds typically indicate a good performance taking our immediate route. And ace medals are usually strictly for players who optimize their route enough to take into account most of the cleverly spaced higher risk shortcuts. As such, better times are not simply a matter of mechanical execution at a higher level, but also clever routing and use of your cards requiring a little more through beyond the obvious path forward. This game also has a decent sense of progression and reward. For each medal earned within a level, you are given access to things like your player ghost to improve against, a level hint indicator showing where faster routes are, and the leaderboards. Each level contains an additional hidden secret which gives you fun extra character dialogue and bonus levels. The overall pacing and difficulty curve is smooth and well done, both in story and level progression. These aspects work well in complementing one another. I think it's an incredibly well-designed game that is friendly to any type of player, since your main opponent is yourself. If you just want to clear the game, that will likely be possible, as the game eases you into the mechanics and the barrier between zones is fairly easy to overcome. However, if you are kind of player who wants to set records and spend hours optimizing routes or on individual levels, this game also welcomes that. To make a quick note of other stuff I liked. The voice acting is solid, the music is incredible. I like the art style both in the character art and level design, which is quite simple but legible. And while it may not be incredibly graphics intensive, gorgeously detailed stuff, it fits a cohesive and nice aesthetic that values gameplay legibility over graphics, appropriate considering this game runs on the Switch. Incredibly fun, accessible, challenging, as well-designed speed game that I've almost no complaints about other than incredibly mild things surrounding the core gameplay that don't really affect my opinion on the main experience at all. So this was a short review on the game. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next video.